guys, before we get into it, I want to thank the sponsor of today's episode, Dinnerly. Dinnerly is a weekly meal subscription plan which makes dinner time easy and affordable. And the process is super simple. You just select the meals that you want each week, they send you the pre-packaged and pre-measured ingredients, and then you just follow along with their easy-to-read recipe cards. You can choose from over 100 different recipes each week, with the best part being that it actually is just the recipes. No long paragraphs or backstories, just easy-to-read instructions with pictures. Some of our favorite recipes this week were blue cheese smash burgers, chocolate cake donut holes, and Mississippi mud cake. All of them tasted amazing and were more than enough food for 2 people, but because everything was pre-packaged and pre-measured, there wasn't any food waste. It's easier than meal prepping, cheaper than eating out, and a lot more convenient than going to the grocery store. But if you're not satisfied, you can cancel at any time with no penalties. And if you're looking for one more reason to try it out, right now we have a special discount for my audience. You can use the link in the description or use my coupon code Maddy24 to get up to $150 off your first 5 boxes with Dinnerly, and free shipping on your first box. So make dinner time easy, delicious, and affordable with Dinnerly. Now onto the video. Hi guys, welcome back to Give It To Me Straight. It's toxic, but in a good way. I'm your host, Maddy Morphosis, and joining me on the show today, all the way from Drag Race Season 5 and All Stars 2, the video vixen herself, Detox.
Hi everyone! Hi Maddy, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
You look incredible. I'm obsessed.
Thank you.
I was hoping you were going to do this.
I already had an appreciation for this look whenever I saw it on TV, but now I have even more of an appreciation after doing it. And
do you have gray contacts in too?
No, no.
So like naturally almost gray.
A little bit, yeah. I was doing the look and I was like almost done. I was like, gotta get contacts for this.
No, they're perfect.
And then I looked at your picture and realized you had green eyes for it too. I was like, okay.
No, I had gray contacts in.
You had gray contacts? Mm-hmm. Oh, they look kind of green.
They looked, yeah, because I have like really blue eyes underneath it. Mm-hmm. And I almost wasn't able to do it because I can never put contacts in. Mm-hmm. I'm the worst. My eyes water so incessantly all the time. And so I was having a meltdown. I
want to do more contact looks, but like I'm also like blind.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. it adds a layer of difficulty in drag. You know?
I think I'm getting blind. I'm getting to an age where I need to go get my eyes examined.
All the cataracts are coming in.
The cataracts are for sure here. All those years of smoking menthol cigarettes and
you know, all kinds of... You may be entitled. You may be entitled to financial compensation.
I hope so. I hope so.
But as I mentioned, you are a video vixen. You've been in music videos for Rihanna, Gaga, her lyric video, Hollywood Undead, Kesha, and this was like well before Drag Race.
It was.
Like you were doing all this before Drag Race even happened. Like you were mainstream. It's like how did that happen?
It just kind of happened. It's so strange because I was living in Orlando. That's where I'm from originally, and I started doing drag there. And then when I moved to California, I kind of had this intention of not doing drag anymore because I was like, it wasn't working in Orlando. People really didn't get me. Nobody kind of understood what I was doing. And then I broke up with my boyfriend at the time and had an opportunity to move to LA and be closer to my sister. And she was like, you need to quit doing drag. Like, who's ever heard of a 30-year-old drag queen? You know, go get a real job, be a stylist, you know, get into TV or whatever. So that was my intention to do when I first got there. And then, of course, I loved drag so much that I couldn't, like, give it up. And I did a couple of shows and met some random casting director and then became, like, the go-to it girl, I guess, for all for any kind of drag-related needs in California at the time.
Like any like music video, they're like, we need a drag queen in this. Like circa 2006, you were the go-to. You were the go-to drag queen.
Go-to cross-dresser vixen. Not to be mistaken with the actual cross-dresser, the vixen.
Right, common misconception.
Common misconception.
But like you say, your drag was like different from Orlando. How was it? I mean, obviously we've seen like your drag. It is very eclectic, a little bit different. But how was it different to like the Orlando girls at that time?
You know, when I first started doing drag, I was more of a club kid. So everything was like very androgynous, very like punky, lots of, I mean, still very similar to the kind of aesthetic that I have now, like neons, you know, fetishy, latexy. But it's a very trans community, a very like pageanty, trans drag region. And so I, thank God, I like made friends with all the trans girls and they were kind of like took me under their wings and
you're an unofficial doll.
I'm an unofficial doll, yeah. Well, now that I'm like completely rubber, I think I'm trans adjacent.
It's what's the word I'm looking for here? It's if you can't grow your own store-bought is fine type thing.
Exactly, yeah. Just get them from the, you know, the home decor section. That's where you'll find me.
Yeah.
So I feel like people didn't really get me there. And I would like do whatever it took to do drag there, and people were still kind of like, you're just a little too kooky, or like not really, you don't really align with what we do here. I mean, I still had a lot of support, but I was still just like not cutting it as like I wanted to do drag full time. And so I moved to LA and then ended up starting to do drag full time. And now here we are.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like you're in a scene where people literally dress up in crazy outfits, lip sync other people's songs, and I'm telling you, like you need.
You're a little too much.
You're a little too much.
You're a little too
yeah,
much
can you
for
be
us.
normal? Can you? Yeah.
Are any of us normal?
Yeah.
Really?
Who sets the standard? Who's to say you're not the
I
default?
do. I set the standard. It might be weirder.
This is the standard. This is. We used to be a proper country when people like Detox
Right, now
were
we're
walking.
Oh, can you say that on YouTube? Sorry.
Oh well, it'll be on the podcast.
We'll
Yeah, no, it's the monetization's getting me lately.
Oh, I'm sure.
They
have all these crazy rules that they're doing. I probably shouldn't be drinking. Well, this is not a paid promotion by anything.
Red Bull's not watching this. They're not coming for me. Not yet, anyways.
Or you should sponsor her.
I mean, honestly, I'm trying to get
Give
these
her
big
some
brands.
money. We'll have Red Bull everywhere. It'll become.
Yeah.
Give it to me straight. Sponsored by Red Bull.
I'm very proud of the sponsors that we do have, but if we can land like Coke,
right,
or like Pepsi, I'm sure you do. Yeah. Diet or zero? I'm on a diet.
Zero. No sugar.
Because it's not diet, but it will make you skinnier.
It will make you skinny. We do it right. No kidding. Don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah. But circling back to like the music video stuff, like do you have like a favorite experience, like all the music videos and stuff that you did?
I have a couple. I mean, anything that I did with Kesha, because that's how I first met Kesha, and then we became friends, because we fell in love the first video that I did for her, which was Backstabber, which I don't even know if it was ever released anywhere, but it was supposed to be, I think, her lead single, aside from TikTok, which became the lead single. So I don't know. I haven't even seen the video in years, so I don't know what happened to it, but we started doing a bunch of work together. But one of my favorite actual videos that I did was that Hollywood Undead video, which I had never heard of the band before, but it was directed by Jonas Åkerlund, who I'm a huge fan of.
Yeah, you were on their biggest song too. Like,
Really?
Yeah, I think that's Hollywood Undead. Like if anyone remembers one song from theirs, it's like that song.
It was a wild set too. Like I mean, it was a long day. It was a crazy day, but we had so much fun. But I just remember being like such a fangirl over Jonas Åkerlund because he's done so many projects with Madonna, and so I was like, I thought I had just jumped at the opportunity to do it.
I feel like with you, a lot of roads lead back to Madonna.
Everything leads back to mom.
We'll dissect that a little bit. Yeah.
And the funny thing is that me or is that my mom?
I've never seen you two in the same room before, so we can't say, can't make assumptions. Do you have any like bad experiences?
Not really.
Like, tell us how you really feel about Rihanna.
No,
like,
she was amazing. We had so much fun. I've done 2 videos with her, and she was so great, and she was the sweetest thing. And I had to teach her how to like smoke a clove.
No bad experiences.
No.
It's just everything in your life has just been sunshine and rainbows.
But I also like go into things pretty optimistic, and then I hope for the best. And I also feel like that's kind of what kept me so booked at that time, because I would go there. I was excited about it. I was easy to work with. I mean, granted, the hours are long here there. Yeah. No, I got paid for those things. I'm here for free.
You're not though.
I'm here out of the kindness of my own heart.
Oh no, I pay people money.
You do?
Yeah, I pay the girls.
That.
Oh, whoops. Well, thank you for doing that. I kind of see your heart.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, good.
Oh, I was gonna tip you a 5 tonight.
I'll work.
Yeah, a 10 if the interview goes well.
Just wait until I'm at the show. That way, it makes it look like I'm even more popular than I am.
Make it rain. Depending on the paycheck, it might rain, might sprinkle. Yeah.
That's fine. You are in the desert. It might spit.
And so are you, right? Okay, never mind. No, cut that. Stop. Monetization. But speaking of Kesha, you were actually on a Kesha song vocally, but it was never released. Like, how did that come to be, and why was it never released?
Honestly, I don't know why it was never released. It's actually a really good song. It's called Pretty Lady, and it's about her love of anything drag and queer and subversive. And she called me drunk one night and was like, didn't tell me what to do, but she was like, hey, just talk shit. I'm recording you, and then put it in a song. And so, and I was drunk. So that whatever, I don't even really remember what it was and what the words were. I haven't even heard the song in years, but it's basically me just saying that I'm a real woman. Sorry.
I saw like the IMDb, or like I saw like the thing about it like on Reddit or somewhere, and I went and found the song, and I was like, I'm about to hear Detox like belting on like, a Kesha song, and she just kind of talking like a voiceover.
Just,
yeah, sounds like a voicemail.
It was, because I was just on the phone with her.
But
who else was in there? Somebody else was in it too. I can't remember.
I can't remember her name either, but
It was another queen though.
it's online. I saw someone else, but she wasn't a real girl, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Just some
who
local,
cares?
yeah. If you're not on Drag Race, you're not valid.
Just some local yokel.
Yeah.
Excuse me. We're drinking Red Bull and I'm corseted.
But in an interview with Kesha years ago, she was talking about a bunch of stuff, and she even mentioned you, and she referred to you as a transsexual, albeit in a different word. Were you living as a trans person at that time, or is that just how she perceived you?
No, I think she, back in those days, everyone used that in the drag world, like, hot tea mess or, your hot, your local hot teas.
Yeah.
And it was just like a turn of a phrase that everyone kind of used in our community. And it wasn't until the conversation happened about people not appreciating that or having other people who are not in our community using those terms where it made people kind of wake up and listen. That's one thing that's good about the queer community is that we will take notes and we will listen because we've all been judged before.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know how to deal with all that.
I've never been judged before. Everyone's always treated me with love and kindness and privilege, and
The patriarchy is alive and well in Maddy Morphosis.
Let's take it back for a minute. You were born in Florida, but your dad worked for the state, right?
He worked for the State Department.
Yeah.
And then by the time that I came, I have a twin brother. By the time we came around, he was working for Lockheed Martin, which is like a huge defense contracting company. Right. So we moved around quite a lot. And he was military. My brother's military. I come from a military family.
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask. Like, with all like the moving around you did, prior to North Carolina, which I feel like is its own separate topic, but prior to that, like all the moving around you did, was it like hard for you like make friends and connections in places? Like, did you settle in one place for long?
Not really. We moved around kind of every 2 years. So even like I think it was like second grade, my dad got transferred to Mesa, Arizona. And so we moved to Mesa. And that was the first place that we were in one state for like a long time. So we were there for maybe 5 or 6 years. But we still moved school districts like every year or every 2 years. So it was hard to make friends, especially when you're,
Your personality.
when you're like an effeminate person and you already feel like you're f***ed up inside to like feel confident enough to like to be able to try to make friends. But I've always been like a showgirl. I've always been like a dancer and like the class clown to try to make friends. So I think that that's what's, brought me to where I am today.
I was going to ask like, if you were like really outgoing, because some people it's like a switch is flipped and they get into drag, and some people it's just themselves turned up to 11. Like
I feel like it's just me turned up to 11. I mean, there was for sure a time there where I knew that I was wild and I knew that I was different, and I definitely felt like I wasn't a regular like heteronormative like straight boy. Yeah. And so I would always try to like dim that in order to be more palatable for kids and for parents. Like, I mean, adults would always be like, look at her floating around, doing what she's doing. And so I got a lot of judgment from adults. And I saw that really early on. And especially when we moved to North Carolina, that's when I started really seeing like just how bigoted.
Was it because you dressed like you were the main character of Drop Dead Fred? Is that why they were?
Well, I am the main character of Drop Dead Fred. Actually, my aesthetic goal was always the slutty neighbor from Edward Scissorhands who gets that asymmetrical ginger cut. She was like, I always wanted to be her when I grew up, but now I am.
You have a lipstick on the bottom of your teeth.
I felt it.
Yeah. It added like made like a sunset ombre on your teeth.
Did I get it?
Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
Thank you.
They should make lipstick flavored. They make it scented. They should make it flavored.
I know.
It's gonna end up in your mouth anyway.
Some of the Dior lip glosses that I use are really like sweet and yummy.
You used to be eating makeup. That's why the way you are. You got lead poisoning from eating
Sniff
makeup.
glue, eat makeup. That's what happens. That's what happens when you're in a military family and you move every 2 years. You got to resort to different things.
Eating makeup, you end up like this. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Again, like you got all these class actions. Is it true that whenever you were 5 years old, you used all your quarters to buy Butterfingers, despite hating them, to try to win Madonna tickets?
That is 100% true.
So walk us through that.
And I don't even know if, this is a core memory that I have.
5 years old trying to get Madonna tickets.
Yeah, I've been like, she's my mom. I've loved her since conception, since birth. Like, I know nothing but a love of Madonna.
How do you think your life would have been different if you didn't discover Madonna until you were like 16?
Oh, I would have myself.
Oh, there it is. Well, that's all the time we have today.
Listen to Madonna and don't die, kids. Bye.
Okay, but back to the story though. 5 years old, you're like trying to buy Butterfingers for a sweepstakes, I'm assuming.
Okay, so here's like I've even looked into this as an adult now because it's such a core memory that I have, and I can't find anything online about this contest. But what I recollect is that there was a contest where Butterfingers was giving away tickets to the Blonde Ambition tour. And I was desperate to go, and so I would steal the change out of my dad's like change thing on his nightstand, and whatever little like, chore money that I had lying around the house, and I would buy Butterfingers and never eat them. I would just open them up looking for that golden ticket to go see.
Well, I mean your dad worked for Lockheed Martin, so I mean, chore money. What was that, like $200
No,
a week? You probably could have just bought the tickets outright.
Money does not mean that we were not spoiled kids.
No.
No.
You're like buying Butterfingers. Like with the Butterfingers, do you actually eat the Butterfingers?
No,
Or you stockpile them?
I contributed a lot of waste back then. I'm sure my brother ate them because my brother thought he was Bart Simpson, and Bart Simpson loved Butterfingers, so he might have ate them.
Oh my gosh, like your two twin siblings, one of them is obsessed with Madonna and grew up to be a drag queen. The other one joined the military and was obsessed with Bart Simpson. Like, why are you and your twins so different as people?
I don't know. Like,
was it just because you heard Madonna in the womb? Is that
maybe we're polar opposites? We're nothing like we're totally fraternal. He looks more like my dad. I look more like my mom. He's shorter, stocky, blonde, like super super blonde, bright blue eyes. I'm ginger underneath all of this, and with less bright blue eyes, he got the better eyes. You son of a. But we never had any kind of like super close connection like twins typically do. And he always did his own thing. I always did my own thing. I'm more like a twin with my sister, who was 7 years older than us. So I was obsessed with her when I was a kid. So she's probably what made me gay.
It was her fault.
It was her fault. We like to tell my mom it was her fault, though. And then we told my dad before he passed, we were like, it's his fault. We like to just blame everybody for it.
As you should. Projection.
That's projection.
I think it's healthy.
Even though I know that there's no one to blame. Like, you're just born the way that you're born.
No, I think, I'm not a therapist, but I think blaming other people for your...
makes you feel better about it.
Yeah, even the things that you did and they had nothing to do with.
100%.
Yeah, it's healthy. It's a coping mechanism.
You know, it's funny, when my mom was pregnant with us, too, they told her she was having a boy and a girl. So... they got it right.
But like Madonna at age 5 and vintage cowboy shirts in high school. What other hyperfixations?
I can't stand that you go and find all these pictures and look at those flip flops and my long ass finger toes.
Yeah, you have some grippers. Because those are some wide leg pants. Like your feet are.
And I have the same. I loved those jeans. They clearly don't fit me, but they were Oscar de la Renta, and I found them at this like thrift store, and they were like these beautiful '80s Oscar de la Renta jeans, and so I had to have them. And then, but yeah, this was like my uniform in high school.
How'd you get into vintage cowboy shirts? That's so specific.
Because Madonna came out with "Don't Tell Me."
All roads lead back to Madonna.
And I was living in North Carolina at the time, and there was this thrift store that my mom and I would go to. I can't remember the name of it, but it was in Hope Mills where we lived. And it was like a military surplus thrift store. So they had all these old vintage like 70s Navy pants. So they were flared and like low ride, and they were so cute. And so I bought the shit out of them. And I would that was my uniform in high school. No wonder everyone called me I can say it.
Yeah, and I can censor it because of monetization.
But I didn't know why everyone thought I was so gay, even though I told everyone I was straight and I had girlfriends.
This is quintessential, like Drop Dead Fred. Like that is if the shirt was green.
Yeah, and mind you, okay, so I had already been emancipated at that time.
Oh, you were emancipated?
I was emancipated at 15, and then my sister took custody of me, and she had a store in Orlando that was like a buy-sell trade consignment vintage store, and so I got my GED at 15 and took over the business and started throwing throwing like fashion shows around Orlando, and then started doing drag.
And then you became womancipated.
And then I became womancipated.
But we're kind of following like the trail of events and stuff in your life. So we're definitely going to get up, because I didn't know you were emancipated at one point. So we're going to work our way up to that in a second here. But with all the moving around, you eventually settled down in North Carolina, which was not the most pleasant experience for you. And you even said before, you said on living there, you said, I wanted to die. The few friends I had there are still my rocks. Pretty much everyone else can eat my though.
Yeah.
So what did you experience in this town? Like what was life like for you in your teen years in North Carolina?
It was tough. You know, especially like coming to terms with puberty, coming to terms with your identity, like, you know, dealing with, you know, very apparent and blatant racism and homophobia and just othering people who were not good old boy white dudes. Which, like, I mean, I had teachers call me you know?
Oh, wow.
And it was the first time I really experienced, like, witnessing racism because I hadn't seen that really in like, my peripheral. It's, like, so front on.
Yeah.
Which also sucks because the only friends that did kind of look after me were, like, my black girlfriends because, you know, they saw...
Because they were also othered.
And also marginalized. And so I hated it. And... you know, wanted to kill myself all the time.
How long did you live in that town?
We lived in Wilson, North Carolina for, I think, a year. And I remember when my dad decided to move us all up to North Carolina, I was like begging my mom to divorce him. I was like, please don't make us do that. Like, you know, my brother and I had finally been into like the same school district for a few years. We had like a core group of friends. Like, we did not want to leave. And I resented my dad I resented her forever too because of it, because I had such a terrible experience. I hated it. I got bullied. I got beat up. I got called every name in the book. I just hated it.
And you said that you were...
But it's empowered me. You know, now I think about it and I'm like, I had to go through all that shit in order to like be the tough that I am now.
Yeah, it adds for better chapters in your autobiography.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
It builds character.
Which I don't know how to write because I got a GED.
Oh, well. I was about to ask that too because I know you said you dropped out of high school sophomore, or you left that high school in sophomore year. So I don't know if you went to a different high school or...
Yeah. And then I did 1 year of high school because my mom and I just I convinced her to leave my dad in North Carolina, and then we moved to Anna Maria Island, which is a little island on the Gulf Coast in Florida. And I did one year of high school there, my junior year. And I mean, and when I say I did a year of high school, I left every day. I would take the school bus off the island, get dropped off, and then immediately leave and take the bus back home and just stay on the beach all day and eat ice cream and cruise.
Hey.
Cruise for surfers.
Yeah. You said like you and your mom, like y'all moved away like from your dad, you went to the other city, but you also said you became emancipated whenever you were, like what was the timeline right there between leaving that town, leaving that school, getting emancipated?
I think I got... She had left a few months before I finished my sophomore year to go to Florida and to leave my dad. And the plan was for me to stay in North Carolina and finish high school. I just couldn't, like, I was going to die or I was going to get into a lot of trouble. And, you know, my sister saw that. My sister realized that, and she had to tell my mom, like, you need to go pick her up and put her in school here and bleep, blop, bloop. And then I did that for a year and just got in trouble because I wasn't doing school. And so then finally my mom was like, all right, it's your responsibility now.
Oh, your mom was like very much like, oh yeah.
My sister who basically was like, your kid's gonna kill himself. So we either, you know, put her in a place where she feels safe and loved and can like be encouraged to live authentically, or you're gonna end up with a dead kid.
Yeah.
So pick one.
Yeah. I know like your mom is a huge supporter of you now.
She is,
go through like your shows and stuff.
And so Mom, I know you're probably watching this because you watch everything I do, and I'm sure that you're sobbing over there, and we will hug about this. You know how much you mean to me, and I'm so thankful for you.
Yeah, we stand Mama Talks in this house.
We stand Mama Talks.
Yeah. But like, what was the support level at that time? So I know like you had a really absent father, but like what was your mom? What level of support was she at that time? I mean, obviously she was supportive enough to let you become emancipated, but...
She was, but she still didn't fully like grasp my identity. I wasn't out yet. I was still very much saying that I was straight because I knew that it would be disappointing to my family. I knew it was going to be disappointing to her. And I didn't want to do that. I wasn't ready to come to terms with it, even though I was so unhappy and I knew that I was queer and that I wasn't, you know, being able to flourish because I wasn't being authentic and being open with myself and being true to myself. And so she had a tough time with me coming out, and but I wasn't able to do that until I got emancipated. My sister was like, "I'm putting you in a queer youth group. You are queer. I've known this since you were a baby. Like, you're in a safe space now where you can be able to be yourself. Like, feel free to explore and in a safe way," which was great. Like, she always took the best care of me.
Yeah, I know that your sister was like a huge influence on your life, but obviously with that, I feel like that's a whole nother separate conversation that I want to talk about a little bit later on because
That's a whole episode.
yeah, it's
I love
it's
my
with your life. All roads lead to Madonna and your sister. There's two roads, and even then they're connected because she introduced you to Madonna, didn't she?
She did, yeah, because she was a huge, Madonna fan as a kid. So it was like my earliest memories are just listening to her old records in our basements.
As we'll talk about later. Now that I think about it, because she introduced you, all roads don't lead to Madonna; they lead to your sister.
Mm-hmm. Why no? Isn't that wild?
Mm-hmm. But
Give It To Me Straight, sponsored by Valkyrie Law. That's okay.
Is that her company?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, shout out. If she wants to sponsor, I'll put her as a sponsor on here. Why not? Is that a national thing or just where she's at?
It's just Chicago and LA.
Oh yeah, probably not the best. My demographic is not that hyper specific, so I'm international, so
I know.
kind of a big deal.
Such a star now.
I know, because now I get to edit myself.
Exactly. What a privilege that is.
I know, privilege again. Mm-hmm. All roads lead to privilege.
All roads lead to privilege.
Patriarchy, rah rah. But with your emancipation and moving and like going on this journey, finding yourself and accepting who you are, eventually it led you to Florida where you started your drag career. Mm-hmm. Is it true you started doing drag just to get into bars?
Pretty much, I mean, there was more to it than that, like, because my sister and I had the store, mm-hmm. and so we would throw all these little events and, like, little fashion shows at all these different local bars, and everyone just kind of assumed that I was not a kid, mm-hmm. because I had the store, and I was tall, and, I looked strange, and I always had crazy hairstyles and dressed more, like, I didn't dress like a 15-year-old kid, mm-hmm. But we did this one weird fetish fashion show, which is actually where I met my drag mother at this club called Taboo in Orlando, Florida. Mm-hmm. And I decided I wanted to do drag for the fashion show. And so my sister was like, go for it. I've been dressing up my entire life. There's always mm-hmm. I've been cross-dressing since the womb. I came out with pumps on.
Came out with pumps listening to Madonna and then being like, no, I'm straight.
I'd be like, no, dude, I'm totally straight. I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Just one of the bros.
I'm just a bro guy.
I'm just a Maddy Morphosis fan.
Exactly. I wanted to be you when I was young.
I know, the blueprint, But,
the gray print.
But you still landed somewhere, shoot for the stars, and maybe you'll hit the moon, you know, something like that. But,
the moon. See?
All roads lead to Madonna. But yeah, like you said, you were like 15 or 16. You first got in drag for the first time for like that fashion show. Mm. And I looked I was trying to find some pictures. I couldn't find any of them. The oldest picture of drag I can find of you is this one. That's the oldest one that I can
Detox
find.
With an old it's so uncanny, that picture though, because it like truly.
Yeah, it's all for me. It's like it's the lip placement, like the. Yeah.
It is uncanny.
Well, that's a hair you would wear too.
I almost wore this hair today.
Full sculpted hair. Yeah.
I should have.
Yeah, well.
Throw it out.
Shitty joke out of the way. But yeah, you started that fashion. Like, what was it about this fashion show where you're like, I need to be in this. I need to get in drags.
We were having so much fun getting it together, and somebody brought in these like huge like 10-inch platform stripper shoes to sell at the store, and so I had been wearing them throughout the store, like learning how to walk in heels and just have for fun. And then so when we started planning the fetish fashion show, I just got really into it and started playing dress up with everyone else. I was like, I'm gonna model in this, and my sister was like, all right, go ahead. And then our girlfriend Yolanda at the time helped me do my makeup and gave me the name Cornanda Cobb. That was like my first official drag name was Cornanda Cobb.
Cornanda Cobb? Mm-hmm. Hey, why didn't that one stick?
Because it was Cornanda Cobb.
Oh, well.
I named myself Dita based off of Madonna's alter ego from her erotica era. All roads lead back to Madonna. And when I actually started like going out to the bars and like making friends with other queens, and my drag mother who lives here now, Miss Glory, love you, I was kind of like her little, like her drag. So I would like carry the bags around and like help her out and do whatever she needed me to do. But everyone started calling me Detox because I was just a kid and I would always get so drunk, and the only pair of shoes I had were those 10-inch platforms that I would just fall down stairs in, and so they just started calling me Detox.
I was about to ask because like Cornanda Cobb, as solid as a name that was, didn't stick. Dita didn't last.
Maybe I'll come back and do like a drag race where I just audition as Cornanda Cobb.
Maybe like a Sasha Belle Frisbee Jenkins rebrand.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Cornanda Cobb. Cornanda Cobb is the government name.
It is the government.
That's the legal.
It's my legal paperwork.
Yeah, it's on the passport. Everything.
It's on the passport. It's on the credit cards. It's all there.
What's the tab? What's the name on the tab? Cornanda Cobb.
Cornanda.
Miss Cobb if you're nasty. Yeah, I was gonna ask about the name Detox, though. I didn't know if that was for a specific reason or if it was like there was a story behind that name, or.
I mean, that's kind of the story. Is that instead of calling me Dita, everyone started joking like, "Well, we should just call you Detox because you're a shit show." And I was like, "Yeah, that tracks."
Solid.
And it's stuck ever since. Now, when we get gigs that come in, they're always like, "We want to book you for a sober party," and I'm like, "Yeah, probably not the right girl to ask for that." But I do get why you think that.
But obviously, like Florida was a really great place for you to learn more about yourself and explore like your sexuality and identity. But it wasn't always the happiest and best of times. I know at some points you were even resorting to like sex work to pay for your drag. Like, what was life like for you at that point in Florida?
Well, I'll just say this: I didn't really feel like I had to resort to sex work in order to do anything. It was just an option there, and it was an easy option. Like, I never really had any kind of like qualms about it. Like, to me, it was, I'm very free, and I'm very impulsive as well. And I was very young. And I didn't like look at it as something like, oh, I can't believe I have to go like let some guy me to go get $500 so I can, have rent money and then buy some new wigs. I was like, oh, that's easy money. I was throwing giving it away for free so much. I was like, sure, why not? Might as well.
So if you're good at something, don't do it for free, I think is the saying.
I'm not even really not good at it. That's why I taught more often. Cornanda Cobb.
Cornanda, Miss Cobb if you're nasty.
So I don't mind it. I also feel like, sex work is a valid form of work.
Yeah.
And I had friends. I was staying with friends who owned a studio, and so they were always looking for models, and I was always like models who were visiting off anyways. So I might as well. I was like, yeah, just throw me on camera.
Yeah, you guys are getting paid.
And then I was like doing makeup. Most of the times I was like doing.
It was basically an internship.
Yeah, exactly.
An unpaid
I was
internship.
painting pimples on their butts, covering them up, not painting the actual pimples on their butts.
You're like, it needs more realism. Just add some.
Like latex prosthetic zits that look like they're about to pop. Give it to me straight. Sponsored by Dr. Pimple Popper. I'm gonna get you another. I'm gonna get you a big sponsor.
Yeah, or you'll cost me with sponsors. We'll see. We'll see.
No!
We'll see what happens. We'll see where it goes. Around the time that you started your drag career is also around the time that you started like getting into body modifications, and you got your first silicone injections at 17. What was the injection, and what was your reasoning for doing that? So I know most 17-year-olds aren't like, I want to get silicone.
I think I was 18 maybe, but I was probably freshly 18. I'm not really sure how old I was. I know it was very young. But I obviously knew a lot of my girlfriends who were doing it, and I didn't really start doing body modification until I don't know, probably 19 years old, 18 or 19. Well, I guess.
Was it just facial modification?
So it was mainly like my lips, my cheeks, my jaw, my chin. Like I started like that way. And then, it became addicting. And I just wanted more and more and more. And luckily, knock on wood, I hope that's real wood. I haven't had any complications with any of it, but I also encourage people not to go that route because there's so many different things that you can do in order to kind of get those results that you're looking for in such a quick fix that silicone is. And there's very few people out there who are doing it well and who are using proper stuff. And luckily, I was very lucky to have someone do me who knew what they were doing and didn't put cement in me.
That you know of.
That I know of.
Yeah. You're like, it is a little heavy on one spot, on one side.
Aren't we all?
I'm of like a different mindset, like for me personally, where I don't even have any tattoos. Because I'm like, what if I do it and I don't like it? It seems like such like a big commitment, even if you undo it. But with you, silicone injections, like you went all in. Like, did you ever have like reservations about any of the procedures you were having done, or?
I never had them at the time. There's the one thing that I wish I wouldn't have done was my 6-pack because I was so skinny, and I was still like I liked this kind of juxtaposition of being, feminine from like the waist down, and the neck up, but also kind of like being a little bit more of your kind of like standard twinkie twunk like ripped body. And I was a very sick kid. I was allergic to everything, in and out of the hospitals for asthmatic related like pneumonia all the time. So I was just a scrawny little long-legged freak, and I could never gain weight. And so I looked at it as a resort to like kind of make me look more human than just like a beanstalk. Now that's up for your interpretation. Whether you think I look human or not, I kind of don't, but I kind of love that.
She is human, allegedly.
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 I mean, the results are. I'm still waiting on those results.
They should be in soon.
Hopefully.
It's like Maury, but instead of like whether or not you're the father, it's like whether or not
you
you're
are not a human.
Yeah. I love like you wanted to be like masculine from the waist up and feminine from the waist down. So you're like almost like Mr. Tumnus from Narnia, but instead of goat legs, it's just like women's legs. It's just half man, half woman.
Exactly. And I like that. And also another reason why I was getting my pecs done, I was like, oh, this will be great for drag. It'll be like I have big boobs and I can push, contour my easier, and that would be great.
I know you would.
Everything led to me to do drag. Everything was about like making drag easier.
But how did Madonna factor into that is the question, though.
Well, I think that I factored into Madonna starting to get all her shit done because I feel like the tables were reversed and I started inspiring her. I also blame hanging out with Nicki Minaj too much.
Like all roads lead.
Where we ended up.
Like all roads lead to Madonna, but that she went on that road back to you though.
She did. She got lost and then we found each other.
God bless you.
She got lost in the needles.
Yeah, she was your mother, and then you became her Sherpa up the mountain.
When the teacher becomes the student?
Yeah, exactly. But regarding your six-pack, you actually were on the show Botched talking about it, but you weren't able to get the procedure done because of like a scheduling conflict. Did you ever go and get that like done, or is that still?
It's still something that I'm dealing with, and I do other things in order to kind of compensate for that. But they wanted to do a full like tummy tuck essentially, which I didn't need, but they were gonna open me up from like hip to hip, scrape out the silicone that was in there, and then sew me back up, which would leave me with a C-section scar basically. And so that was a huge like no for me. And then also I at the time was like, I mean, I'm always extremely busy, but I was crazy busy.
Yeah, you're booked.
And I didn't want to lose out on the money, so I was like, I don't need to do that. And now thank God I have an amazing med spa in Chicago who are amazing. Infused Med Spa. If you're ever in Chicago, go check them out. I love them. Give It To Me Straight, sponsored by Infused Med Spa. So I've been doing Venus treatment, which is like micro frequency, like suction and heating, and that helps kind of melt everything away. I'm happy with my results. I'm still not completely pleased, but I'm much happier than I was when I did Botched.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
It is.
It's getting there. Yeah.
Morpheus too. Morpheus 8 really helps. I highly recommend it for anyone.
I like some people spend so long and so much time and effort to get abs like that, and you're spending like an equal amount of like effort and time to get rid of them. Yeah. And
it's funny, I should have listened to the guy who did my silicone work, because he was like, I don't know, girl. I don't
said, this is cement, you sure?
He did. He was like, well, once you go with cement, you turn into a brick.
But his advice, he was just telling you, like, are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah, for that specific area, because he hadn't really done that before, and I was like, just shut up and put it in me. It's very like, have you seen the movie First Wives Club? I know you're straight, but
I have, but not in a long time.
That when Goldie Hawn's character is getting her lips punched, she's like, that was basically me anytime I found a needle.
If you had to guess, like how many like not a number of injections, but how many things have you had done?
I don't know.
I guess other than your nose, what have you not have done?
My knees and my big toe.
Oh. Coming soon.
I haven't. Yeah, coming soon. Stay tuned. I haven't touched my nether regions. Yeah, everything's been hips, ass, cheeks, chin, lips, jaw, six pack, pecs, shoulders.
You had your shoulders done?
I did, yeah, to kind of like round out this area so it didn't look like I was like scrawny armed with big pecs, which ended up happening anyways. I mean, God forbid I go to a gym.
Yeah, you take the road less traveled.
Exactly.
Yeah, but like, is there any like injections or procedures or anything you have done that were like unconventional, people wouldn't expect, other than the shoulders, which I don't even know it's like a thing?
Oh, I just had some weird slug treatment. Like a
slug treatment?
Yeah, like a microneedling slug treatment. I don't even know if it was actually, I don't know what the slug portion of it was, and maybe I just...
Like they use slugs?
I don't know. It was microneedling and then some mask that my girl Taylor did. Shout out to Taylor, I love you. And I think you called it a slug facial. I don't know what the it was, but so that if it was actual slug juice, that would be, I guess, a little unconventional.
You don't even know what stuff. You're just doing stuff. You don't even know what it is.
I do. If she's like, it'll just tighten everything up and you'll feel great. I'm like, do it.
You put the slugs on me. Let's go.
Do it.
Slide them babies up.
And I have to. I gotta keep, I'm pushing 40 and I need to keep everything kind of tight and right.
As tight as you can. Just keep filling it.
Exactly.
Madonna.
I haven't had filler done in years though.
No?
No. Everything's just like.
Just slugs.
A lot of slugs, lasers, lotions, potions.
It's like all this, just moisturizer.
It's just,
Just moisturizer.
Vaseline on your lens.
But of all the procedures, one of the things you said you'll never do is your nose. But you've
That's a lie.
Oh, never mind then.
That's a lie.
Is that a new realization that you're like, maybe I will?
I always wanted to get my nose done, and then when my dad got sick and we started becoming closer, and then he passed, I was like, it reminds me so much of him. And all of my siblings have my dad's nose. We all have it. But I only want to tweak it a little bit. Like I don't want a full on like new nose. Because I love the shape of it. I just want it to be straight. Like I don't know. Like this side, I love it on this side. So I'm so thankful that I'm sitting in this chair. But it's a completely different nose on this side. And I know it's hard to tell because I have makeup on and I'm like contoured or whatever. But I just want it like straightened out a little bit and like a little left.
I feel like that wouldn't even be that intensive of a procedure.
But it's tough because you never know what's gonna happen. So like a nose is like it's a very prominent kind of procedure, and so one wrong move that could lead to 5 different noses.
Of everything that you've done, that's the one that you're too scared to take the plunge.
It's happening. I'm doing it. I have a plan. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I had this whole question because you talked in so many interviews about how I'm never going to do anything to my nose. It took me so long to love my nose. I appreciate it.
And I still love it. And but I just want to like straighten it out a little bit.
But if you love it, set it free. You know.
If I love it, give it free. So that's why I'm hoping that somebody out there who does really good rhinoplasties will reach out to me. Also, I have a deviated septum, so hopefully my insurance will cover it.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I have. Ashley Tisdale. She got her new job.
Sure.
Yeah, she got that whole thing. That puppy changed out for free. Medical. Yeah, never mind this.
Well, so ask me the question anyways, though.
Nose thing. I mean, I was going to ask like your attachment to the nose, but you kind of answered it. Like, like sentimentality and. Yeah.
My sister hates her nose too, and we've always said that we're just gonna go hold each other's hands while we're getting our noses done, and then wake up because at least we'll have the same nose afterwards. We want the same nose still. We still want to look like twins, even though my brother and I are the actual twins. But we definitely want our noses done.
To be a twin and then to have your twin tether themselves to the other sibling and be like, we're twins.
Oh, he knows. Michael, we love you, but and he'll agree.
I was literally gonna have like a whole conversation about how. Embracing your features, even if it's not the most like conventional beauty standards, and just embracing your, the beauty that you have, and you're like, I'm changing it.
I totally agree with that though, but I'm also a huge advocate for if it makes you feel great, if it does some kind of joy for you, then do it.
But not all your operations were cosmetic. In 2009, you actually had to have an operation for your forehead to have it completely reconstructed because of a car accident.
It wasn't that bad. I mean, it was terrible. The car accident was terrible. I almost died.
Wasn't your forehead like hanging off?
It was the skin on my forehead was lacerated.
Yeah, that sounds pretty bad.
Yeah. So and luckily, I can't remember what hospital I ended up going to. I was in drag too when it happened, but they had a plastic surgeon on call that night, like in residency at who was there for the trauma unit. So they brought him in, and he was able to stitch. Kind of puzzle my skin that was still there back together, and luckily there was no brain. There might have been brain damage, to be honest. There might have been some brain injury. Now that I think about it,
it actually knocked some things in place.
A little bit of both. Some yin and yang there. But I've been doing like laser procedures for years to try to eradicate some of the scarring effects on that, because it's a constant reminder of it.
Can I ask like what happened like in the accident like?
My friend Matt and I were driving from a gig in West Palm Beach, Florida on 95, which was at the time, it was very dark. And I think this was maybe around like 2000, because I moved to LA 2008. So this had to have been like 2006, 2007 when this happened. And we finished my gig. We were following these boys home because they were having like a little party. My friend was not drunk; he was sober, and he was the DD. I don't really drive. I definitely don't drive now, but I didn't really drive back then either. And this other gentleman who was also at the bar, who was kicked out, I guess was driving his car home and ran out of gas on the middle of the freeway. And so instead of like pulling over, he just left his car parked in the middle of the freeway and turned his lights off and went to bed.
Oh, shit.
And so we're following our friends, to go back to their place to go get in the hot tub or something that we were doing. And they couldn't see him because it was so dark back then. And so they like swerved really quick to miss him, clipped him. And then we just, kind of ran in going full speed. And I was dumb. I had my seatbelt on, but I didn't have this part on because I was in drag and I had my big fake tits in and I was uncomfortable and we weren't going that far. And my friend Matt's airbags didn't go off, so I just like ricocheted off of the windshield. And I remember pieces of it, like just everything going black and then like coming to and being like, what's going on? And just feeling this like waterfall of warmth on my head, like not really realizing how serious it was. And I got out of the car. I think I puked immediately. And just realized that I was just covered in blood. And this guy who we hit, who was and like annihilated drunk, gave me some jacket to stop the bleeding. And then he kept coming up to me and like talking to me, like touching me and was like, oh, you're fine, get up, you're good. And I remember just being like, get the away from me. And then he yanked the jacket away from me. And then I passed out. And then I woke up in a helicopter.
Oh my God. Yeah, I was in a really bad car accident when I was like 16. Like I totaled my first car and, I was going like 45 miles an hour. I was like not paying attention, looking at my rearview mirror, and a car in front of me had completely stopped to like turn. I didn't realize it, and 45 just right into him. And luckily the airbags went off. We were okay, but it's giving me like really bad like PTSD when I drive now.
I have
like if I get too close, or people, I was gonna ask like if you kind of suffer that.
PTSD. Like even being a passenger in a car, a lot of times I don't like it. So I prefer sitting in the back seat of a car. Even to this day, I have like panic attacks about it. Definitely, I have driven a few times since the car accident. I wasn't driving, obviously, but I just don't like it. I don't like it.
Your body just tells you danger. Like I
freak out. Like even like, and it's like living in LA. When I lived in LA, I was awful. I felt so bad for anyone who had to drive me anywhere because I would be like in the car, like holding onto my seatbelt, crying, sweating, like immediately having to like get out of the car whenever we got anywhere to like cry and probably throw up because it would just give me such anxiety. And I still have that,
Yeah. But I imagine like your PTSD like in cars is also worse too because like you travel for gigs and going into Ubers. Some like Ubers are the most insane like drivers.
I just got in an accident in an Uber on my way to Hamburger Mary's in West Hollywood a couple of weeks ago. Because, as soon as there's any kind of weather in Los Angeles, no one knows what to do with themselves. And it was sprinkling. And there was a 3-car pileup.
In an accident? A 3-car pileup like in the Uber on the way to the gig?
On Santa Monica. The guy in front of us stopped quickly. And so my driver slammed on his brakes. We almost hit him. And then the guy behind us hit us into him. And then so we like pulled it. And mind you, I was like running behind to the gig and it was raining. And I was like, I'm sorry, I gotta go. I got a gig to do. So I picked my suitcase up and walked. I thought I was closer, but I walked like 5 or 6 blocks to Hamburger Mary's in the rain and half drag. But the first thing that happens when I get out of the car is the guy that we hit was like, Detox?
That was...
It's like, hi, no time for pictures, gotta go.
That is probably the most... Like that's a core memory for that person. Like that is the most pivotal day of his life. Like who ever live in infamy, where he got in a bad accident and then Detox randomly popped out of the car and ran away with luggage into the rain.
Luckily, everyone was fine. Like nobody was injured, but it was still like. And the guy who hit us was also an Uber driver who had passengers in his car.
Oh my gosh!
And I was like, I'm sorry, I gotta go. Y'all have my info if you need to get in touch with me.
That's insane. But I feel like your family has a history of like near-death experiences though, because your twin also had like a near life-threatening injury whenever he was in the military. Between like that and like your accident, like, did you develop almost like this existential life is short kind of mindset from these experiences?
Oh, totally.
Like what did these instances have on like your psyche?
Well, it's interesting that you brought my brother up because I knew that he was injured. We'd never have that like twin connection like you hear a lot of like identical twins have. But I knew that something happened to my brother before my parents found out. And I just remember like calling my mom, calling my dad, and like being hysterically crying and be like, "Who's heard from Michael? Like, do we know if he's okay? Like, there's something's wrong." I just knew something was wrong. And then a couple of days later is when we got notified that he had been injured in the war in Afghanistan, and he was almost killed. And then I maybe like a month later is when I got into my accident.
So this happened like back to back, and this like 2009-ish or so.
I think it was like 2007.
2007.
I think so, because I had already been in LA by that point. And it was before I moved to LA.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so my poor parents were totally going through it then, because they almost lost both of us back to back. But we're here. We're here. Love you, Michael. Thank you for your service.
Just for storyline purposes, did your sister experience anything crazy at that time? Or was she good?
I don't know if she had anything. What'd she say?
Or she was good?
She was okay.
Okay.
I think, yeah. I don't think
nothing life-threatening at that point
I don't think so.
Okay. But it was shortly after that is whenever you eventually moved to LA and you started hitting drag even harder there. Obviously, it was a lot more receptive to your drag than Florida was, because you quickly became like a staple in the LA scene.
It was so accidental, and it was so wild, and I'm so thankful for it. And it and it was amazing. And it was, right at the beginning of kind of the early stages of production for RuPaul's Drag Race. I think that happened like maybe like 6 months after I had moved to Los Angeles is when they started casting for season 1. And I remember filming my audition tape in my sister's house at the time. Because at the time I was like basically, like giving childcare for my niece who was still quite young while my sister was finishing law school. Which my niece, I can't say what my niece used to call me, but the last part of the word was nanny, and the first part was the word that you're thinking it is.
Oh. It was a different time.
It was a different time.
How old was she?
She was probably around 7 years old.
She was old enough to know better. Cancel her. What's her Twitter? What's her Twitter?
Canceled.
Yeah. Do better. But as you said, like they reach out to you. You got cast on season 5, but they actually reached out to you for season 1 after you put an audition tape. What was that conversation like? Because they just call you and like, hey, we got this new show we're about to start.
Yeah, it was at the time it was Durano for casting, and he had cast me for a couple of other different things, like reality TV shows and like extra work and other kinds of the things that you typically do when you're in LA to pick up extra gigs when you want to start, doing TV and everything. And he was like, I think this would be great for you. And yeah, none of us knew really what it was going to be. And at the time, season 1 was supposed to be like teams. So it was like the drag queen and then their like BFF or their like designer or their whatever come in, and they were like assistants essentially is what the initial premise of the show was supposed to be.
Was that
I don't know, but I'm thankful that I got cast when I did.
Yeah, I like season 5 was a very pivotal time for the show. I mean, obviously season 4 was a huge milestone, but season 5 was when it really started to ramp up for you.
And I pretty much had a similar experience that Alaska had. Was just like they pretty much were like, "Girl, you want to do this show? Throw together an audition tape, and we'll take care of the rest of it." So I would just be like, "Here's a couple clips. Go ahead and do it." Yeah,
it's like just write your name on the application and put it in, so we have something.
So I had to do the psychobal, which surprisingly Alaska and I both passed. Still had to do all those things, but we were pretty much like, "Yeah, you're on the show."
Some of these girls, like on Twitter after the season, I feel like the psyche val, they're not evaluating.
They need to go a little bit more in depth on that shit.
I don't know. I feel like, or maybe they're like intentionally. They're like, "Oh, you are not okay. You're on."
Maybe they're playing games down there at World of Wonder. Who knows what they're doing over there?
I don't know.
It was a different time back then.
I'm just a humble crossy in my bedroom talking shit online
with beautiful shag carpeting for walls.
It's it's the one on the wall is still white. The floor not so much, but as I said, it was a really amazing time for you to get on the show, but it wasn't the most amazing time for you personally, because it was at the time that you were getting the call that you realized that your dad was sick. He was diagnosed, which you later found out to be lung cancer.
Correct.
And so having that knowledge, did you know like what that was going on to the show, or did you just knew that he was sick?
We didn't know what was going on with him before I went to film, which is one of the reasons why I almost didn't do it, because I was concerned, and he was misdiagnosed while I was filming, because he encouraged me to go do it. He was like, I'll be fine. Like, this is your dream. You have a great opportunity to do something, so go do it.
Were they assuming it was like bronchitis or something, or pneumonia?
Yeah,
or...
something, he was older. He was a lifelong smoker until he was probably like in his, I don't know, late 40s or 50s. So of course we immediately were like, oh, you have lung cancer. That's up. Like, let's start treatment. But because he was misdiagnosed, it went untreated for a long time. And then when he was finally like accurately diagnosed, it was stage 4. And so it was just this kind of like constant. And he still ended up lasting a lot longer than we were anticipating. But it was like, it just felt like he was edging us with his death, essentially, because he would get so sick, and we would all convene and come together and be with him and be like, try to say our goodbyes and be with him, and then he would bounce back and be fine.
I would say he was like edging you for like a year or so after the diagnosis, but it was like right around the time he's like diagnosed that you went on to the show, like with just like knowledge of him like back home, like what effect did that have you like while you're trying to film this TV show?
Yeah, I just did not feel focused. I felt guilty for being there, but it was something that I wanted so badly, and I just didn't. I felt just kind of checked out the whole time, and plus I was exhausted. Like I had been touring with DWV well before going to film, and I was like burnt out emotionally, physically, just mentally drained and exhausted going into it. And then to have that kind of pressure on top of it where you don't have any contact with anybody, you're sequestered for a month and a half, 2 months, however long it is, and to not to be able to like find out what was going on with his diagnosis was, I felt bad. I felt guilty. I felt like I was being a bad child. And especially because we had done so much work to get closer for him to kind of be able to see me and, not fully understand my lifestyle or agree with my lifestyle, but
be more supportive.
But to be more supportive of me as a human.
Allegedly.
As an alleged human, yes.
Alleged, yeah. The jury's still out.
Jury is still out.
But it's with your dad's like passing like a year later. Your sister was actually someone that really helped you through that time period, and we saw like with like the makeover challenge on All Stars, how much your sister meant to you. And even so far as like you bought a house across the street from her.
Is your goal to make everyone cry when they come on here?
No, I literally just said your sister.
That's all. I started tearing up immediately.
Well, I swear I was just curious. I'm not doing this for algorithmic purposes.
I know.
But like, we talked about your sister earlier, but I would kind of want to make its own segment because she did have such a big impact on your life. Like, how did your sister like impact you? Like throughout your life?
She's just been the constant to me. She's been my number one cheerleader. I've been her number one cheerleader. She's like always had my back, even when she didn't have to, even when, I was
You may get you a piece of like a tissue or something real quick.
It's about to get really bad, isn't it?
Go grab, just in case. You have a show in a minute, so
I know.
I don't want.
I can't help but cry when I think about my sister, though.
Just whatever you need. I wish I had actual tissues.
It's okay. This is perfect.
Do you just like walk across the street to her house and just cry every day?
Sometimes, or we'll just be at each. She'll be at her house, I'll be at my house. I mean, I'm rarely home these days, anyways. I got I kind of missed the pandemic in that regard because we spent so much time together, and it was so great to be able to hang out with the kids and be together and have so much weird fun during the pandemic because we would just have little parties at the house and watch Nailed It and make pies and get really drunk off of rosé. But we'll still she'll be at her house and I'll be at my house and we'll be on the phone for like an hour across the street FaceTiming each other. And then I'll go to the window and be like, hey girl,
I see you.
It's weird. I mean, I think because we moved around so much when we were younger, we had to be a close-knit sibling group. And because our parents were so crazy and because we felt so traumatized by, their discourse and some of the violence that was in the house and, dealing with older, weirder demographic parents, we found solace in each other. And then, of course, her getting custody of me at 15, totally helped. And I just can't, I don't know what I would do without her. Yeah. We have this conversation a lot, which is really morbid, but it's I can't die before she dies. She can't die before I die. So we're just going to have to do group suicide.
Thelma and Louise.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. Like as I'm like doing the research and kind of looking through like things that you said in interviews and tweets and all stars. Like it seems like every like moment of your life, like your sister's tied to it somehow.
She
From like
is
introducing you to
constant.
Madonna, emancipating you, being like your only supporter when you first were accepting your sexuality. It's like every little moment, like she's like always like there, and it's just like so crazy.
I am very blessed. And if you have siblings like that out there, hold on to them and cherish them and love them. And if you don't, find your own chosen family. And that's what's, and she also let me and encouraged me to find my chosen family too. But she was there along for the ride as my cheerleader still. A lot of people don't have that opportunity to be able to say that you have a close family as well as a very close chosen family. And she's my chosen family sibling too, because it's a package deal with us. And I'm eternally grateful for whatever energy out there in the universe put us together, because we're soulmates.
But seeing like where you are currently, do you ever think that maybe she was enabling more than supporting? Like maybe she should have pumped the brakes a little bit.
She probably would say that. No, it's hilarious though, because I remember one night I went out and did a gig and came back super late the next day, and was supposed to be looking after her kid, and she was so mad at me and she slapped me across the face and was like, "Get your shit together! What are you gonna be, a 30-year-old drag queen? Who's ever heard of that?" And now I'm a 38-year-old drag queen, and she's my lawyer and my business partner. So you're welcome, Heather.
Yeah, you're welcome. But something else you both have in common too is that your love of interior design. With that in mind, do you feel a certain level of resentment towards Trixie Mattel being known as the Renovation Queen, despite not even knowing what an Allen wrench is?
Not at all, because she has a lot more. She's got a lot more capital out there, and she's she's an easier sell.
Does she need more capital though?
She doesn't.
No, it's just.
And how much of that did you really do yourself, Trix?
Yeah.
Come on.
She was like kind of.
It's gorgeous though.
She was like bonking a piece of wood with a hammer, and they're like, "Wow, Trixie built this hotel. That's crazy."
Well, you can tell these kids online anything like that, and they'll be like, "What? She farted her pink glitter and then turned into this, and that's why this is what you have here."
Yeah. The difference is I did this. I worked hard. I stapled that fur to the wall.
And Trixie has worked her ass off, and so I'm so proud of her for all of the amazing opportunities that she has.
Yeah, but I'm like, fuck, stop working. Let us work. He's cast for another thing. I'm like, anybody.
Yeah, there are other queens out there.
Yeah.
People. There are other drag entertainers out there from that franchise, but there are also even more incredible drag entertainers out there that haven't even been on the show yet that you could probably look into. Just saying. Just saying.
Are you talking about like local drag?
I wouldn't go so far as saying local drag, but
like not drag race drag.
No, I'm kidding. Yes, local drag. Like, what? You hate the word local drag?
I hate local drag.
You just hate local drag?
It's not good enough. Like, if it's not on TV, what's the point?
That's true. Yeah, you're right. You have a very valid point there.
Yeah, be better.
Be better. Anyway. Do better drag, and then maybe you'll get on TV.
Yeah. With your love of interior design, what are your thoughts on RuPaul's mansion? I'm just curious. Have you seen it?
I've seen clips of it.
It's a little gaudy. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I like gaudy. I don't intend on. I don't envision RuPaul having a non-gaudy house. Like, I can't see him in like something that's sleek and modern.
Yeah. Like looking at your Pinterest mood board, like it's definitely like.
Is that public?
It's not. I found it. I know, but it's. But like your house and everything.
Stealthily and finding what are you doing?
Don't worry about it. But it's like your design, like what interests you with like your house and like your ideas and stuff. It feels like it's similar to like RuPaul's aesthetic, but just dialed down to a realistic.
I would say that too, because Ru loves like Hollywood Regency and like grandeur, and I definitely do that.
Like a lot of like black and white, like little color pops, and
I love black and white. I love black and white with a mixed metal. That's kind of my kind of vibe. But every room in my house is a little like kind of differently themed, but it all kind of goes. It all makes sense.
It's cohesive.
I think.
Yeah, you don't have 37 disco balls in one room, so
no,
it's not. Yeah, it's not too outlandish.
I did think about putting a bunch of disco balls up in the pool, so we'll see maybe.
That ceiling's not tall enough for that.
No, I have to extend. I have to expand it.
You'd have to crawl into the pool if you put disco balls in there.
You have to do that anyway. That's how most people get down there, because usually we're only using it when we're on mushrooms.
Well, you know. So, like, with everything you've done in life, like, you've had such a wild career, but you're still going strong after all these many, many years. But, like, what's next for you? Like, do you have more gigging, get DWV back together? All Stars? Like, what do you have plans for the future?
I honestly have no idea. I'm really loving my supplement line, which I don't know if you drink or not. I should have brought them to you, but I don't. For some reason, I remember you not drinking. Correct?
That is not correct. No.
Oh, well, damn. Okay, well, later I'll get you a bottle of my fluorescence after party supplements that will help you,
Oh, shit. Okay.
metabolize alcohol in your system after a night of hanging out with me, which we're gonna hang out tonight at Piranha.
Okay, now I wish I had the supplements.
I
but
know
it's fine,
I should
it's
have brought
fine,
them
it's
just so I
fine.
could plug them even, but so
Today's episode sponsored
so
by
sponsored by Fluorescence by Detox After Party.
the number of sponsors I have this episode. This is going to be
many.
the
You're
most
so
profitable
welcome. You are so
episode.
welcome.
Thank you.
But focusing on the fluorescence line a little bit more, I would love to get my house finished. I would love to sell a show about, doing my house. And then have my sister and I kind of want to vamp up our neighborhood. So we think that would be a cool premise for a TV show if anyone is out there.
Yeah. Well, again, like with Trixie Motel, you can do your own. It's called like Detox's Bungalow or something. I don't know. It's just,
The Detox is whole.
Detox's Hole.
Yeah, come on in.
That's a different video. We were
You've
diving
already
in.
seen that one.
Yeah, we've already seen that one. That's
Honestly, I love touring. But it would be nice to be able to enjoy my home and enjoy time with my family, because I think I got really spoiled during the pandemic, and being able to be home so much, and I miss it now that I'm on the road back hardcore again. I would love to be able to kind of have some time to breathe a little bit.
so basically you're saying like
Stop booking me. No, I'm kidding. Please don't stop booking me. I still have to finish
leave her alone.
that house.
Yeah, I mean, well, most of your income now is just from lawsuits. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So watch out, or I might sue you. You better not let me trip on this shag carpeting.
Like, has suing people always been like a love of yours, or is it just something else your sister introduced you to as a lawyer?
My sister introduced me to, because not everyone's able to have an attorney on retainer, and luckily I am blessed enough to have one. It's so funny, like when we go to DragCon or whatever, Heather's first thing to do is to go by every booth to make sure that there's no unlicensed Detox merch anywhere, because there's like a bunch of artists who do things, and I'm sure people hate her for it, but she'll go to every booth and be like, oh, what's this? Here's a release form. Either give us money for it or we're taking all of these. And it happens because people don't really a lot of times get clearances, and that's her specialty in law is trademarking and copyright infringement, and
when
the perfect
when the stars align, she works in trademark and you're a brand, and it's just a match made in heaven. Okay, there's the last question. I hate to get political, but with this being like a really big election year, what message would you like to convey to all the liberals out there that want to take our guns? Like, what would you say to them? What would you?
That is so dumb. But look at how serious I am. Look at how I am petrified of guns. First of all, I do not like guns. They scare me. I believe that you should be able to have a firearm if you want to? Yeah, sure. But I don't think that there's any need for huge automatic weapons and assault rifles to be on the streets in our country. And if you have a stack of guns in your house that are assault rifles, what are you doing? What's the point? You're not hunting with a huge machine gun, you crazy son of a. Get a real hobby.
Yeah.
And protect kids. And not from drag queens at story time. Protect them from the guns that are in the schools, instead of being places like in Tennessee where you can carry a gun at school if you're a teacher now. That's ridiculous. Sorry, I'm mad.
What she meant to say was, come and take it. You're going to alienate my conservative fan base.
That's fine. You guys are weird. We're weird too, but...
on that note... On that note, that was the last question that I have, and the last bit of time we have, because we do have to rush you off to the gig.
I'm so sorry.
Before I do, no, it's okay. We got through the cards, so we made it through. But before we do, I want to give you something. And I'm just curious, whenever you were growing up, obviously, so many influences on your life, both unexpected and expected. But what impact did Jim and the holograms have on you?
Cute. Fuck off!
As a child.
Oh my god, look how much she looks like me too. This is Pizzazz, who was a misfit. She's not Jim.
I think you've done a Pizzazz look before.
Hello, look at the aesthetic. Everything of my aesthetic has basically been inspired by Jim and the Holograms. But specifically the Misfits.
Mm-hmm.
They were always more aligned with who I kind of envisioned myself as a kid. And it's so funny because I don't really remember a lot of the episodes because it was a little bit before my time. Like I was still like very much a baby and toddler when the show was on.
Yeah, and you did since then.
And
so.
I've done so much since then.
Yeah.
But they had to have done to make this show, I think, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Is this for me?
Yeah, it's for
I'm
you.
obsessed with this. Thank you. This is so cute. But look at even her features look like mine.
I will say I was gonna get you a different figurine that was like a higher quality, but it wouldn't have came in on time. So I was like, I gotta get the one with the more aggressive bone structure.
This
but
is
you know,
so cute.
Yeah.
I didn't even know they had these things. Now I need to collect them all.
But with that, okay, so you said you had like some ideas coming up, but for now, like you just have local bookings.
I'm just traveling a ton. I'm on the road. We're doing a Alaska Talks tour in Australia next year. We've had to push it back. It was supposed to be September of this year, but it's January of next year, which will be really fun. So we're doing, I can't remember how many dates in Australia, but it'll be all of Australia. And I know a couple of people in the UK are trying to get us for theirs as well to do our Alaska Talks tour. But, you know, Pride's coming up and, you know, you'll see me where you see me. I don't know where I'll be, but as Delta said, I don't know where I'll be, but oh well. Catch me outside.
Yeah. And they can follow you on Twitter for more for Gemini.
You know, there's a fan account called War for Gemini, which is hilarious.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Like you and Raja both.
I know.
Do you know what happened with that?
Back in the day, it was like a link that you would do, and it would just tell you your daily horoscope, and then neither of us can figure out how to turn it off. And so it was it's just there. Similar to the fact that I didn't know that people could see my likes when I would like things on Twitter or X or whatever it's called, and then I found that out, so now I just have to bookmark everything.
Mm-hmm. I would say you have an alt account.
I don't trust myself with an alt account.
No, it's fair.
I don't trust myself because I would probably like talk shit and post nudes on my main one and thinking it's my alt because I'm terrible at that. I'm not a good multitasker.
I feel like with the body modifications you have, people are going to recognize the nudes.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Can I tell you a funny story?
Yes.
During the pandemic, and I know that you're a straight broski,
okay.
But back in my younger days, I loved to get on webcams and like do things. And I did it during the pandemic one time, and I had grown a beard out because it was the first time I was ever able to grow a beard out. I thought it would be funny. And I was like, you know, doing some shit on like Dudes Nudes Live or something. And the whole chat was like, Detox? I got all these DMs and I said, never doing that again.
You had a good run.
I had a good run.
So ended. And you shaved your beard and never went back.
And I shaved my beard and now it's been lasered off. So that's never happening again.
Well, on that note, that is the end of the time we had today.
See, you got some
I was
dirt.
not. I
You
did.
got some
Yeah.
dirt.
And with that, thank you all so much for joining us this evening. Follow her on socials. Keep an eye out for her tour dates. And join us next time whenever we have somebody else.
Whoever the is going to be here.
Yeah. Until then, bye guys.
Bye.
Let's go.
Oh my God, my ball sack just fell out. Oh my God, sorry.
Oh my gosh.
Hopefully you'll get it on the cameras.